Hey guys, TSB back at it again. Welcome to the review of Party Hard and its DLC High Crimes. This game was developed by Pinnacle Games and published by Tiny Build. The game came out on 25th of August 2015 on Steam, and full disclosure, I am not entirely sure how I obtained this game. I tried to search my purchase history on Steam and also through Humble Bundle, but I was unable to locate it, so I might have received it as a gift, I'm not sure. But I have paid full price for the DLC, which was at the time of my purchase €5. And the game version I have played is 1.4.030.R. This is important. I have reviewed the game at the start of June 2017, so this is almost 2 years after the game was released. For additional context, this game came out roughly a quarter of a year after the second Hotline Miami, and the game developers also have a sequel in the works and a tycoon based in the same universe. Party Hard is a real-time murder puzzler. The core concept of the game involves killing all the NPCs on a level. This level is a static level. It's a one screen which does not transition, at least in the core game it doesn't. Of course, looking at the way the game plays behind me, the game has a distinct art style, and I found myself reminiscing about Hotline Miami and especially Hotline Miami 2. This game is very close as to the graphical fidelity of its pixel art. I would say that it falls just a little bit short of what Hotline Miami was able to do within the pixel art style. The only drawback of how the player perceives the playing field is that it is very difficult to judge the distance to several NPCs. There are various hostile NPCs that can bust you, and this is actually the most common way how you will fail a level. So there are security guards, police officers and the like, and actually some of the items that you can pick up and use in the level may summon additional bad guys. Essentially, they are good guys in the world's lore, like FBI agents or SWAT teams and the like. But given the background and given the story, they are actually bad guys from your perspective, and they can bust you essentially with an insta-kill, and you have to be very decisive how you get rid of these guys. For the NPCs that are already present in the level, you can usually get them by observing the routes they traverse and picking your exact spot for the move. Only catch is when a non-hostile NPC spots you in the vicinity of a dead body, the NPC tries to call for cops. They have a plain line of sight to you. They will tag you as the person that committed the murder. This will summon the police, and if you used explosives or something more interesting, then you might also spawn something more hostile, like the FBI agents and the SWAT teams. And now the policeman is determined to catch you up until a certain distance is traveled. So if you manage to kite him long enough, you can get rid of him. The only catch is that you are slower than he is. You have small sprint available, but the stamina is quickly drained. There are a few shortcuts that you can use. If you use them in a close proximity to the cop, there will be actually a kind of Mario lookalike plumber that will come in and fix the shortcut, so you cannot use it anymore. You can also set up traps to dispose of NPCs, both the hostile and the non-hostile kind. So this is one of the ways how to get rid of the police officer, for example, that you set up a trap and kite him to the trap. There is a progression system in the game. Several characters are unlockable. These provide special mutators. They will unlock and lock some of the traits and also add new items that are usable throughout the level. These characters are unlocked by achievements. Some of them are relatively easy, and Because the game has workshop integration, there are already levels that are tailored to unlock some of these achievements. The whole setup of a level is an interesting one because each level is themed by a certain event, so the whole game starts out by you just unable to sleep because there is a huge party and you just snap essentially and you just want to do something about it. Each mission is a party and each party is themed after a certain environment. So you will go outside, you will go on a rooftop, you will go inside a party bus, you will have many different encounters that will be specific, and each level has its own quirks. So for example, on a level you might encounter an animal that you can scare, and the scared animal will kick and kill someone that's behind him. These items will randomly spawn at the start of the level, so you will have a slightly different experience each time around, and you will have your favorites. You will have traps that you hate, and you might find yourself just restarting the level so that you get the proper combination of these little perks that you favor. Similarly to these quirks, there is also one NPC that brings items, and there are also some set and some randomly appearing items throughout the level. You will see these briefcases pop up at given locations randomly, and sometimes you have a set item in the briefcase, but sometimes it is random, and you might get anything from a flashbang to a bomb. As you might expect, each of this will yield a different result and will again slightly alter your way through the level itself. In the levels of the board game, you can also call for some special support, which will summon some guys that will aid your progress, which will mean poisoning or otherwise disposing of some of the NPCs in the mission. There are additional levels that are provided by the developers on top of what was originally provided in the base experience, without even the need to purchase the DLC. These levels provide a spin on the core concept of the game by providing some alien NPCs and some weird monsters and stuff like that, and some crazy scenarios. These are definitely appreciated. My enjoyment of these were at times higher than what is present in the base game, and I appreciated their inclusion very much. High Crimes DLC further adds to this mix by introducing some new concepts like cameras and some new NPCs that have the different behavior than the hostile NPCs from the base game. I found these NPCs, however, a little bit unfair, as they are mostly proximity triggered, and the range is very difficult to judge. They don't have any kind of meter or any kind of like a circle or something around them, so it is up to the player to risk the proximity to these hostile NPCs, and it is very much a trial and error, and it is very difficult to actually defend against these NPCs. Essentially, when these NPCs engage you, it is already too late, and there are actually very little you can do about it. There are ways to set up traps, and NPCs might trigger these, but unfortunately this is very unlikely due to the proximity you need to be to these NPCs. So I found them a little bit unfair, at least subjectively. Of course, this really pushes the player to play a more guarded playstyle than even in the base game. This might be good or bad based on what you like. I found it a little bit infuriating, and I felt that the game developers padded out the runtime a little by having the NPCs so punishing in the DLC. Base game clocked in around 6 hours for me, and there were a few levels that I had to replay a lot, but if you know what you're doing, you can get the level in under 3 minutes, and there is actually an achievement for that, but it is very unlikely that you can get it done in the first try. The DLC adds a further 4 levels, and the first 2 levels are actually I have beaten the first 2 levels under an hour, and I have struggled to do the 3rd level, and I finally gave up after like 3 to 4 hours on that level, successfully completing it 3 times, and unfortunately there's a game-breaking bug that essentially means that I cannot finish the level at all. There is a learning curve for new players, and it is tied to the animation sequences of the NPCs. All the NPCs turn around on a dime, and the animation has very few frames. So if you time your attack incorrectly, you will get insta-killed essentially, and there is nothing you can do about it mostly. This feels a little bit punishing, and there were a few occasions where I've felt like punching through the screen because I thought I had the route down, but actually didn't, or I mistimed my move and got busted in the last possible moment. This of course gets infuriating. It is somewhat up to the player whether it is a deal breaker for him or not. Again, like the game is not that long, or the base missions in the game are not that long, and even with these hiccups you can get through it in 6 hours. Electronic beats with strong 80s influences dominate the OST, and while the music is pleasant enough, it lacks memorable moments. Again, with the Hotline, especially the second Hotline Miami, had a lot of memorable tunes, memorable set pieces. I wouldn't say that the music sucks here. It flows well, and I perceive it as its own entity, and I wouldn't be able to separate the soundtrack. Most of the tunes are not that long and are looped constantly within the level. You wouldn't really notice it, and throughout the game I didn't have an inkling to turn off the music even once. For purchasing the OST, I would listen to it first on YouTube, whether it is what you like. The price of the OST is pretty standard, so if you're into this kind of sound, it is definitely something you can get. Various sound effects for the traps and NPC screams and the like provide serviceable feedback to the player interaction within the level, but the music definitely overpowers the sound effects themselves. Surprisingly for me, there is a story within this game, and it is made in a form of cutscenes that connect the individual missions themselves. These are highly stylized pixel art things, and while I was not paying attention to the story at the beginning, it grabbed me as it was getting closer to the finish line, and I definitely enjoyed my time with the story itself. Overall, the game mechanics are strong enough so that the game can stand on its own 2 feet even without the story. There is Games Workshop integration within the Steam client for this game. There are a multitude of levels on the Games Workshop that are available for download if you're into that kind of thing. There are also a lot of levels that are provided, these variety levels that are provided on top of the base experience for free, which add value to the overall package. Overall, I would fully recommend the base game for its normal price, even without going into discount territory. If you have enjoyed Hotline Miami and Hotline Miami 2, this might provide a similar, if somewhat lesser, experience. I would say that the Hotline Miami games are more visceral and definitely grab you by the balls more intensely than this experience. However, this is more of a thinker's game than Hotline Miami. I would say that Hotline Miami is more of an adrenaline rush kind of deal, and here it's more about the overall planning and patience. There's a co-op option provided for the game. However, this only adds a second player, and the game experience itself is not tailored for the co-op experience. So if this is the primary driver for your purchase, I would not recommend buying this game for full price, and would wait for a sale. Now, if we come to the DLC itself, I must say that I do not recommend the DLC for the price. It provides a rather dissatisfying experience. While it provides new engagement vectors, the overall experience is excruciatingly short and contains game-breaking bugs that might or might not appear in your playthrough. I hope you enjoyed this review of Party Hard and High Crimes DLC. This is TSB signing out. Bye.